This year in social studies, we are going to spend a lot of time looking at representations of Earth, like this globe, or a map of the United States. But before we get into the study of a particular culture or country or place, I want to take this moment to remind you that our planet is a planet, a massive sphere of rock and dirt floating in space, orbiting around the sun with several other planets. It is the study of our physical world and how we interact with it and find our location on it that we call geography. And before diving into the rich and interesting history of our United States, we need to brush you up on your geography. For a very long time, people have used an imaginary grid of lines called latitude and longitude to measure their exact location on Earth. The most important line of latitude is called the equator, and the most important line of longitude is called the prime meridian, because every other line of latitude or longitude is measured by its distance from one of these. Lines of latitude run from east to west or side to side around the Earth like a giant belt. Lines of longitude run from north to south or top to bottom. And together, these lines form a grid that covers the entire planet. Now again, these lines are completely imaginary. You're not going to trip over one, but let's look at how they can help us locate very real and important places. Take a look at the equator and prime meridian on this flat map of Earth, and then focus just on the equator for a second. You'll see that it naturally divides the whole Earth into two halves, one north of it and one south of it. Now focus just on the prime meridian. Same thing. One half of Earth to the east of it, one half to the west. Now these halves are called hemispheres, and there are 4 of them. 2 on either side of the equator, the northern and southern hemispheres, and 2 on either side of the prime meridian, the eastern and western hemispheres. Pick any spot on Earth, and you will see that it is in exactly 2 of those 4 hemispheres. So how can we use latitude and longitude to measure the exact location of Charlotte, for instance? First, find it on the map, and then draw a line from Charlotte over to the prime meridian, and a line from Charlotte down to the equator. Congratulations! That first line you drew from side to side represents a line of latitude, and that second line you drew from top to bottom represents a line of longitude. Because Charlotte is located north of the equator in the northern hemisphere, we'll measure that line of latitude in degrees north of the equator. And because Charlotte is in the western hemisphere, west of the prime meridian, we'll measure the line of longitude in degrees west of the prime meridian. The equator and the prime meridian are both located at 0 degrees, so the farther away you get from either, the bigger the number will be. So that line of longitude is 80 degrees west of the prime meridian, and that line of latitude is 35 degrees north of the equator, which means the official location of Charlotte, North Carolina is 35 degrees north, 80 degrees west. Latitude always comes first, followed by longitude when we write locations. Last but not least, as we brush you up on your geography, are physical features and geographic terms. Geographic terms are the names we've come up with to describe things on Earth, like river or mountain, whereas physical features are actual examples of those things. So the word river is a geographic term, but the actual flowing Amazon River in South America is a physical feature of Earth. Make sense? Similarly, mountain is a geographic term. It's the name we use for a giant raised portion of Earth. But the actual real Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania is a physical feature of Earth. With that, fair students, consider yourselves brushed up on those geography basics.